All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is the second of our 2021 webinar series here at Burris Logistics, and this one's going to be titled, What Could Possibly Go Wrong? As hopefully all of you attending can see before you, we have assembled a panel of Burris Logistics and Trinity team members. And really our goal here today is to pull some good stories out of these panelists. We're really looking for things or problems that they've either caused or maybe even fixed in the supply chain, highlighting how we've all learned from it and adapted to these mistakes. So thank you again for joining us. We're hoping that this turns out to be some good stories and a lot of fun. So once again, welcome. Let's get some quick introductions out of the way. My name's Bobby Bailey. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Burris Logistics, and I have the distinct pleasure and honor of co-moderating today with one of the world champions of supply chain logistics and top overall draft pick for our One Burris team, Senior VP of Business Development, Nick Falk. Nick, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, Bobby, appreciate it. I guess that does really go, if I'm the top draft pick, it really does go to say that you can't teach size. So appreciate being the top draft pick based on height. Pretty cool.
Awesome. Well, once again, welcome aboard. Thanks for joining me on this adventure here. And Nick, obviously we've got some team members that represent our One Burris Business Development team. So who do we have joining us today?
Yeah, definitely do. So first of all, I appreciate everybody joining us. This should be fun. I think that for those of us that have been around for a while, we know that stuff will go wrong. Some of it very amusing, some of it very painful, some of it very expensive. But what we'd love to be able to do is just have a good time and talk through some of those things that happen. So joining us on our side, speaking of an all-star, leading the league at the Diamond, we have Joe Adams from Philadelphia, Honor Foods, VP of Sales and Purchasing. So appreciate Joe coming out. We have the queen of direct-to-consumer and e-commerce, Senior Account Executive, Megan Caruso, also from the Philadelphia area. So being an NFC North fan, clearly we're outnumbered by Eagles fans here, but and then last but certainly not least, one of our senior sales executives from Trinity Logistics, Mo Seafood Shearer. So that's our crack team there. That's what we bring to the battle today, Bobby.
Awesome. All these sports analogies already have me completely confused, but I will work my way through it. And you missed an opportunity to bring up Rocky and Joe in Philadelphia, but maybe we'll get to that. So, we're purposefully trying to keep these introductions somewhat short. If you've joined us on our past webinars, maybe you have already met a few of these faces and team members. So we want to give our panelists more than enough time to tell their stories. Plus, a special introduction that we have prepared is coming from Burris CEO and Burris family member, Donnie Burris. So he's really going to set the stage here, and it's going to make Nick's job really easy today. So please, without further ado, please enjoy this message from Donnie.
Welcome. My name is Donnie Burris with Burris Logistics. I wanted to welcome you to our webinar today entitled, What Could Possibly Go Wrong? Logistics is hard, but when you add the element of cold chain in on top of that, it is doubly hard. Today, we're going to be sharing with you some of our mistakes because our team relies upon years of experience in logistics and distribution with a particular strength in the area of cold chain. All of us have made our fair share of mistakes. I'll start out with one of my own just to set the stage for this conversation. It was back in the 1990s. I was a general manager at a facility in Chesapeake, Virginia, a brand new general manager, I might add, still learning the business, trying to learn to lead and manage people. Our business was booming. We were blast freezing and exporting products to countries around the world, South Africa, Russia, China. I got a call one day from South Africa. It was their version of the USDA. The lady's name was Dr. Mogajani. And she said, "Sir, we cannot accept your frankfurters." It took me a minute to register. She was using a much more sophisticated term for hot dogs than I typically do. We did the research and realized we had misloaded 2 containers. We're a paper-based system. Our loader got mixed up as he was handling the work for the day, and that resulted in us having a shipping error involving 3 continents, really. And that was very, very expensive to unwind. It taught us all a lot. We increased our controls, triple checking things. It made us better. It was a powerful learning lesson. The team that you'll be talking with today has learned a lot through their years and decades in this industry. Our hope is that you can learn from them, make some connections with them, and understand that you've got resources out there that may be able to help lighten your own load in logistics distribution, particularly in the area of cold supply chain. Thank you. Enjoy the webinar.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And for everybody on the panelists, time to unmute. We're ready to dive into this thing. But I think Nick, would you agree that Donnie hit the nail on the head there?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, mistakes will happen. I think the greatest thing that we can do is learn from them. That one is a pretty good one. I think we got some pretty good ones to share as well from the rest of this team.
Awesome. And the highlight here is, and Donnie, for the record, he did that in one take. So kudos to Donnie for recording that video. He is a true professional as a subject for video recording, did a great job. But, really what we're trying to do is to share the human side of supply chain with you. Donnie mentioned it. All of our team members gain from that experience. We accept some of those mistakes. We're not here just to talk about mistakes. We're talking about lessons learned ultimately. So before we kind of get into the details of it, I do want to go over a couple housekeeping details just so that everybody is fully aware and prepared. So first one is we are recording this webinar today. The idea of that is when we record it, we can then upload it to burrislogistics.com. So if you can't stay for the whole thing, or if you knew that one of your colleagues or friends could not attend, we will provide that for you and we will share this out on our website. So stay tuned for that. Also, at the very end of this, one of the things that makes these so enjoyable is ultimately when we have questions and answer sessions from those who are attending. So please, as time permits at the end, if you think of a question, please use the Q&A function. It is located at the bottom there on your Zoom screen, and we will see those questions and we will get to them as soon as we possibly can. Now, if that doesn't work for you, if you have a technical issue, you can always email marketing@burrislogistics.com during this webinar, and we will be monitoring that email channel as well to answer any questions that come up. All right, so getting into it. Nick thought that by co-moderating this thing with me that he was going to get off the hook in sharing some sort of a mistake and or a story, but that is not the case, my friend. So even though you are here to keep our panel honest, we want you to start things off with a story from your career, if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, so thanks. I'm not seeing that part on my script, but we'll go ahead and see what we do. I guess probably the best example of what can go wrong with the supply chain was I was fortunate enough to work for a major U.S. retailer prior to coming to Burris, and I had the opportunity to be a part of their international expansion. And one of those situations where we thought we were going to be a case study for MBAs of the future, and turns out we absolutely were, but probably for the wrong reason. So for those of you who can read between the lines and know a little bit of the recent history, that case study did not work out well. And one of the things that Donnie hit on in his story was being a paper-based system. And I'll tell you a story about systems and why that's important. So when I was working for this retailer, we decided to move into Canada with an international expansion and do it all in one fell swoop. So our goal was to go from 0 stores to about 150 or 175 stores, just like that overnight. So we put everything in place. We built 3 distribution centers. We added all the staff, all the headcount. And what we decided to do was go from all homegrown organic systems to off-the-shelf systems. WMS, ERP, became an SAP shop overnight without having any experience doing it. So once the stores opened up, we found we had a little bit of a problem. So if within the distribution centers, we figured out how to write SAP POs. We got tons of product in, but then we didn't figure out how to get that stuff to flow to the store. So the anecdote that I tell everybody, and probably the funniest piece that I found in the whole thing, was one day I was walking through one of our distribution centers in Milton, Ontario, just outside of Toronto. And I walked by, I go, what is that? And you got to understand, these buildings are 40 feet clear. We've got bulk stacked product in it. And I looked over there, and there is line after line of stacks of 30 pallets in a row of one particular product. It's like, what is that? I walk over there and I take a look. They're Hello Kitty lamps. So we brought in enough Hello Kitty lamps for 25 years of supply at the anticipated sales rate. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I was fortunate enough. I had a daughter at the time who was about 6 months old, and I thought, man, that's a great deal. I'm going to the store. I'm buying a Hello Kitty lamp, and so I bought Noelle, my daughter, a Hello Kitty lamp, and little did I do to defray the 25 years of supply. But one of the things that we definitely learned was when you are going into a new venture and you're trying to create new systems, new technologies, you're using new things, you need to know what you're doing, man, because otherwise you get hung with 25 years of Hello Kitty lamps. That's a bad deal. Once you cut that PO and they get manufactured, they're on the ship, you're owning them. So probably the biggest lesson I learned there was make sure you're hiring the experts when it comes to some of the systems related things. And certainly one of the things that we would have done differently was had a lot more experts on our side, and maybe we'd still be in that country. But nothing more amusing than walking down the aisle and seeing 90 pallets of Hello Kitty lamps.
Nice. Well, hey, to put a positive spin on it, that could have been the next Cabbage Patch, and then you would have all been heroes.
That's a good point. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, that's probably the most amusing one I have in my career, and certainly made the business case a little bit more shady when you're sitting on that much inventory of lamps.
Awesome.
Well, what I'd love to be able to do is kick it around. So maybe Joe, maybe you can shed a little bit of light on a story you have.
Sure.
See what I did there?
Off the top, Hello Kitty. I got to be honest. That's you set the bar really high. So, when I was fortunate enough to be invited to participate, and I heard what could possibly go wrong, I realized quickly they invited me because they wanted to see what could go wrong. Because there's no doubt somewhere along the way I'm going to say something that I shouldn't say. So I apologize up front for those of you that I offend, because I tend to do it. So those of you that know me pretty well know that I can be a little lengthy. So I will do my best to keep this under 45 minutes for those of you that have an afternoon plan. So there is a hook involved, just in case you're wondering. So for me, the story is more of, instead of humorous, it's more of a aha moment that I experienced because it struck home. So all too often we're sitting at home and we have no idea as we watch the news, how things pertain to individuals. And so a couple, probably 3-4 weeks back, all of a sudden that Suez Canal incident, for those of you that are familiar with the Evergiven, is the ship that struck aground in the Suez Canal. So you're watching it and you're going, oh my God, look at this silly captain ran aground in the Suez Canal. How could you possibly do that? And you think to yourself and you kind of chuckle and you go, that's crazy. The impact that it has on supply chain, the worldwide supply chain, is unbelievable. And so there's a couple of facts that I'll give you to help you give some context. But then more importantly, I'll bring it back home because it did in fact affect Honor Foods as well. So the incident caused major disruption in the world's ocean freight, which already is at a critical tipping point. For those of you that aren't familiar, the COVID situation has impacted ocean freight quite a bit because for quite a while there, we weren't moving stuff around through China. And so as a result, what happened was the refrigerated containers all got kind of stuck in one area. And so if you imagine airplanes, airplanes fly around the world and they have to be in certain locations in order to spread out all the equipment. Well, that's the case also with refrigerated containers. And as COVID was occurring, those containers all kind of got stuck over in China because, as we know, there wasn't a lot of import and export going on with China. So in this particular incident with the Suez Canal, it really hit home because when you look at the economic impact in that particular corridor, when that happened, the impact to the world economy was $9.6 billion a day that was lost. $9.6 billion just for a ship running aground. It's crazy. $400 million an hour was lost because they couldn't get ships through the Suez Canal. So you have this issue with containers all over the world, and now all of a sudden it's magnified because you have another issue. The increase that already occurred in ocean freight because of COVID was between 10 and 15% in increase in ocean freight that had already been taken up. This affected it even more. So now the business is another 20% increase. That's a lot of money in ocean freight. So you're dealing with, in that particular canal, you have 10% of the world's trade that flows through there. And it was clogged for 3 days. Imagine that. So you have this problem that's going on. All of these ships that are backing up because this one ship is stuck and you can't get around it because the Suez Canal is kind of narrow. There was 160 ships per day on both sides of the Suez Canal that couldn't get through per day. So now you have all of these ships that are kind of backed up. And if you get a chance to look on the radar, they have some fantastic photos that showed you just the clog of supply chain that was caused by one ship being stuck. So bring it back into context, right? So you have all these containers that are stuck. You have all these ships that are stuck. What's the impact for me and for Honor Foods? So Honor Foods, we are the 10th largest importer of frozen broccoli in the country. We import product from all over the world. We have an internal person who travels the world and finds product in India and China and Ecuador. It doesn't matter where it is. If they can grow it, we find it, we buy it. We're also the 3rd largest importer of frozen spinach. So during COVID, as we all know, the run on retail was unbelievable, and the crimp in supply chain was really, really difficult for a period of time where we couldn't get anything. So for us, we have been moving more frozen vegetables than we ever have historically for Honor Foods, and a large part due to the unbelievable job of our purchasing department. So we're bringing it in as fast as we can. We're already trying to fill the pipeline. You have the Suez Canal incident that now backs us up even further, because on every single ship of those 160 on both sides, 20,000 containers sit on one ship. Do the math on that. That's crazy how much it can impact supply chain, and it's everything from food to oil to everything. So for Honor Foods, the lesson was, and you know, fortunately for us, we have moved into this beautiful new facility several months ago in a capacity where we were, you know, breaking out of the building for many, many years. Now we have 3 times the capacity in our new home. And as a result, we've been able to forward buy more than we ever have before. And so this proves beyond a shadow of a doubt, you can never buy too much in this type of situation when supply chain is as difficult as it currently is. If you have the opportunity and you're blessed to have the capability that we have at Honor Foods, we're very fortunate that we were able to survive it. And we had the inventory, but there are a lot of our competitors that were not, because they weren't in the same situation. And as a result, we gained significant market share over the past couple months in a very pivotal category for us. So supply chain is the real deal, folks. You know, it's the key to the recovery of food service as we build back into the business and restaurants start to recover. So we're very fortunate here at Honor to have this new building. And we're very fortunate that we were in a good position where the Suez Canal, which gave me a chuckle, didn't sink us.
Nice.
I wrote that down. I read that.
That's amazing, Joe. But as you said, even when you guys do get it right, and you know, story that you shared with me a little while ago, sometimes you can't predict everything that could potentially go wrong, and you can't control that just with buying or having the expanded capacity in a building, right? So you got another story I know that you can share for us, and this kind of goes back to the time of before all of the technology that we currently have, right? You mentioned that we can now just pull up a satellite image of the Suez Canal and fully understand the scope of what's happening there. But you got a story that goes back before we had some of that technology working for us, right?
I do. So this one involves Thanksgiving and it involves pies. And so anybody that lives in and around the Northeast, you understand that the Lancaster County area is very well known for its pies. Home-baked pies, we make home-baked pies. You know, they're very, very proud of that. So what people don't realize is they're not especially homemade pies. You buy them from this manufacturer who sells them to these farm stands. They claim to make them. So it's very, very important to these people around Thanksgiving to have these pies. It is part of the ritual of Thanksgiving that you have your pumpkin pies. And so people pre-order because they're very difficult to come by because the volume is so high. So this particular time, Bobby, you know, we have this pre-order coming in and we're waiting for this truck and the customers are calling us and they're giving us a hard time. And we're like, it's coming. We know it's coming. We called the factory. The factory said the truck left. So we're waiting for the truck to arrive at Honor Foods and we can't find the truck. So in the age, as you said, there's no GPS. You don't know where the truck is. They're calling the guy on his cell phone. Guy's fighting with his receiver. We can't find the guy. The guy says, he'll be here tomorrow. Okay, we wait the next day, call the guy again, can't find the guy. We don't know where he is. We still don't have pies. Now the customers are losing their minds because we can't find the pies. Because in supply chain right now, it is, we want to know, we want to turn on our computer, we want to see exactly where that truck is and track it, the package, as it's being delivered. You couldn't do that back then. And so all of a sudden, day 3 comes. Those of you that know where Honor Foods was before we moved, it was not in a great neighborhood. We found the truck 3 blocks away, parked. The guy had had enough of his dispatcher, parked the truck, walked away, and left the truck there, and all the pies went bad. All because we couldn't track the truck. And as a result, all those people were not happy they couldn't get their pies. So again, supply chain and technology and making sure that we know where things are, when they are. The lesson learned is work ahead, folks. Make sure you have ample opportunity to get inventory. And more importantly, make sure that you have good communication through your supply chain. When there is a kink, you can fix it as soon as possible.
Hey, Joe, that's a great story. The one part you said right at the beginning that I really liked is it's known for homemade pies, and we were waiting on pies from the manufacturer, which was great. I took my kids to the farmer's market this weekend in our hometown. And when we were down there, we were picking out some produce, some tomatoes and the likes. And the woman across the table from me said, wow, these bananas are so much better than we get at the store. I love buying local bananas. And I said, hey, when was the last time you saw a banana tree in Florida? And you would have thought that I told her that her puppy was ugly. It absolutely crushed her soul. But it's interesting what's local and what gets played off that way.
Yeah. Shoe fly pie is not exactly something that's made in the back of the kitchen in Lancaster County. Yeah.
Crushed my soul, Joe.
Sorry, man. Sorry. It's not the first time or the last.
No. Cool. Megan, I know you got some interesting stories.
Yeah, I got a couple. I don't have, I guess mine are not nearly as exciting, I would say, as, a whole truckload being dumped in Northeast Philly of pies. But, mine's probably going to be a little bit more obvious to some and a little more simple. But when I think of, what can go wrong in the direct-to-consumer world, weather is one of the first things that comes to mind for me. So there's a couple ways that this could be impactful in direct-to-consumer fulfillment. So one is whether at the point of origin, so one of our fulfillment centers, and the other one is at the point of destination, where the customer is actually getting their package delivered to their front door. So, first example I would give, up here in the Northeast, back in February of this year, we had a pretty major snowstorm rolling in. It was a Sunday night into Monday, and we get word early Monday morning at our, Delaware facility that one of the major final mile parcel carriers isn't going to be picking up out of that building. They're closed for the day for safety reasons. There's going to be no pickups, no sorting, no shipping, nothing. So we're kind of at their mercy, right? Because if we can pick all the boxes we want, but if the parcel carrier isn't going to pick up or take it anywhere, that we have to follow suit. So, we basically just told all our customers, hey, we can't do anything this day because no one's going to be picking up. But, it kind of set the stage for, hey, how are we going to fix this for you guys? So we did a couple of things. We pulled longer shifts throughout the remainder of the week, probably had some overtime hours there, shipped on Fridays, which is something we don't normally do. And for those of you who aren't kind of familiar with the direct-to-consumer world, Monday is typically the heaviest shipping day because everyone wants all their stuff out at the beginning of the week. So for it to be closed on a Monday was really that much more impactful. And then the other thing we did was we were able to help the customers who fulfill out of multiple of our fulfillment centers, kind of move some of that volume and some of those orders where it made sense to other fulfillment centers. So if you're shipping out of our Delaware facility, Florida, and Oklahoma facility, if Delaware can't do anything for the day, we could at least shift some of that volume to some of the other sites and help get those orders out earlier. So that's kind of the first instance I have, weather related. And then the second is weather events at the point of destination. for the end user. So, you know, this was really a bigger issue the first year that we dealt with it because we didn't know what to expect going into hurricane season. So basically every year we see issues during hurricane season in the Southeast and in the Gulf states. And, you know, again, after that first year, we kind of learned that our customers are going to want to hold off on sending those orders until the hurricane passes through. Because that first year we had, you know, a hurricane coming through, I think it was back in 2017, and we shipped product to Florida, to Louisiana. And you can imagine what happens to a box of frozen goods when it is left on somebody's front door and there's, you know, 2 feet of flooding that comes through. It's probably not going to be a great user experience. So, you know, the delays, the damaged packages, they just add up and they cost everyone extra time and money and frustration. So now that we know better and we know what to expect, there's a couple things that we can do on the IT side. So we can designate certain states to be put on hold and not processed. So basically the orders come in and we hear from our customers, hey, there's this hurricane coming. I don't want to ship anything to Florida. Okay, no problem. We'll put it on hold. And then we basically just follow the direction from our customers to ship after that bad weather passes through and they're confident that the orders can actually be delivered successfully. So those are kinds of the ways that weather really impacts us on the direct-to-consumer side. Yeah, not as exciting as pies, but certainly a major impact for our customers.
And Megan, I don't want to put you on the spot because I personally don't have all of the details, but you know, another webinar that you and I have been on, you know, on the other side of it, a lot of our e-commerce partners also face challenges. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a story about where their warehousing partner was unable to continue to warehouse and distribute for them, and we were able to take in that inventory. Am I speaking correctly about that one?
Yeah, that was actually a real heavy overnight operation that happened. So this was, again, back in, I believe, summer of 2017, we had signed on with a new customer to start up. They were supposed to start in like August, September. And we get a call about 6 weeks before they were supposed to start up with us saying, hey, our current fulfillment provider closed overnight. They shut their doors. We can't even access our product. They're not going to ship anything. Can we start early? Can you help us? You know, what can you do? So we had a truck that went up there. We had people from operations, people from IT. They paid people at the site to open the door and let us in. And actually physically take the inventory away because it belonged to them. That was done at 3, 4 in the morning. We brought all the product back to our Delaware facility, and I think within a week had the customer up and running, shipping their boxes out. Really to like we should have had another 6 weeks to do like integration things like that on the back end and just operationally get ready for it. But they moved quickly to help in that case. And that was a big deal for the customer. They really appreciated that.
Nice. Yeah, that's an awesome story. And we wanted to give you a third one. So I threw that out there just so that you had a little bit more time than Joe took with all of his knowledge about the Suez Canal.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, but all good because you are an expert of the Suez Canal. But we are now going to kick this over to Mo. And rumor has it you are the man responsible for throwing one of the biggest barbecues known to man. Is that correct?
Not by choice. First of all, welcome back to the bunker. I'm 5 stories underground here at the Trinity office. I appreciate you guys letting me come out and join you guys again. This is a big deal. It gives me something to look forward to. So thank you, everybody. And I'm going to share probably one of the more PG stories because as anybody that's been in transportation knows, there are stories for days in transportation, some more colorful than others. But the one that jumps out to me was a few years ago with one of our larger food service customers down in the Southeast that had a warehouse location in South Florida. And we were moving a variety of different protein truckloads to them, beef, pork, poultry, et cetera. And we were moving a full truckload of fresh beef out of Texas to their location in Florida. And right around 8:30 at night, I'd been home, been hanging out, messing around with the kids. and my phone rings, and it's one of my logistics specialists, and they are in a panic. I was like, okay, calm down. What's going on? This load's supposed to deliver tomorrow morning. What happened? So apparently this truck, the brake lines on the trailer locked up, and the driver didn't know and continued to drag the trailer until they lit on fire. The trailer then caught on fire. The driver continued to travel down I-95 South through Central Florida before people that were also on the highway finally flagged him to pull over. He gets the truck pulled over. The trailer's engulfed. It is just a wall of flames. Total loss, trailer, tractor, and an entire truckload of beef. And the story goes that we heard from the state troopers that responded, it was the best smelling road fire they've had in the history of Florida that they still talk about. They said it was just absolutely delicious. It just smelled so good. But the impact was things happen, and things like this happen, unfortunately, very often. And whenever we onboard new customers, that's one of the first things we talk about. Be prepared for something to happen. Where we stand out as an organization, Burris, Trinity, et cetera, is how we react to those situations. We've always prided ourselves on being very proactive. So immediately I reach out to my customer that next morning to let them know, hey, this truck's not going to make it. Here's what happened. And they were like, okay, well, what do we do? I said, don't worry about it. Let us know when you have the next load available, because we already have a truck sourced. If we can get it picked up in Texas again today, which they did, they had inventory available. We actually were able to recover the load, get it back on the road. And although it was maybe a couple days late, it still got to them and in their inventories in Florida before it caused any major mishaps with their customer orders. And then on the back end, again, this is why we have insurance. We, as a solid partner, walk them through the entire claims process through our in-house claims department and help them collect the monies to, repay them for that lost load. And, thank God no one was hurt. The driver was okay. His insurance covered the loss of equipment, but these are the things that happen all the time in transportation, whether it's, overseas cargo coming in on these containers where they're trapped overseas, whether it's mishaps on the highway or incidents that happen either at the pickup location or delivery location. The key to it is having a solution and being able to react proactively. So again, one of the most delicious truck wrecks in the history of the state of Florida.
That's certainly a good one. And I think, this question is, potentially for all of you. Joe, you mentioned it, obviously, with the truckload of missing pies back in the day, and Mo, even more recently, the visibility, or I guess the visibility, obviously, because the thing was on fire. But, talk a little bit more about, what do we currently have that can kind of help us track and trace these shipments? Now, I always think about it with our loads on the Burris side, but when you are waiting for a customer or partner to deliver to you, in Joe's case, do you have visibility into that nowadays?
So is that for me, Bobby?
Yeah, Joe, for that one specifically, yeah.
Yeah, so absolutely. So now the technology is much more advanced, and my God, we have the capability to track individual boxes now to track the temperature in the boxes. So the capabilities and making sure that the product is safe and delivers in the condition that we want it to be and arrives on time, more importantly, the technology has now kept or caught up with the desire of the people that want the product. So yes, we know from the moment that the trailer leaves exactly where it is at every moment. We know exactly the time it's going to arrive. We know the temperature inside of the truck, and if there's any fluctuation, we're able to track all of that. So yes, we're in a far better position than we were back in the days of the pie situation. I just wanted to know if there were barbecue sauce bought, Mo, when the tractor trailer went up. Was there like a
it could have been could have been the perfect storm, had a barbecue sauce truck just rear-ended the back of it,
or a beer truck? Beer truck would work.
I think we would have been able to salvage quite a bit of product there, albeit maybe not as uncooked meat, but certainly as a finished product for our customer. But kind of to piggyback on what Joe just said, from the transportation standpoint, technology evolves so quickly that we also have the ability to, live track our trucks to the point where we have a portal where if the system is set up for that customer's particular loads, they can ping our trucks in the middle of the night to get an exact location where he is, how far from his destination. And in certain instances, there's other technologies that we can even use where, like Joe said, it can give you the temperature of the trailer, let you know if there's been any fluctuations. Everyone knows technology is evolving at light speed right now, and certainly it's the same for transportation and supply chain. So as these new systems come up and are available to us, we try to implement them as quickly as possible. So we're constantly evolving along with technology as well.
Nice. Yeah, and as a reminder to attendees, please, if you do have specific questions, feel free to drop those into the Q&A, or again, marketing@burrislogistics.com, and we will get to them. So we do have one that came through, and I think this one's probably along the lines of what Megan was talking about. How far ahead can we plan as a logistics provider for things like hurricanes and inclement weather, which, again, the most unpredictable thing out there, weather people don't even get it right. So what can we do to make sure that we're ahead of that?
Yeah, so in my experience, like I said, that first year it was a little bit rocky because it was our first time doing it. We didn't quite know the ramifications of delays and package damages and things like that. But now that we've got a good handle on it, we have weekly calls with pretty much all of our customers. So if there's some event coming up, for any portion of the country that we cover, that's usually brought up on those calls, and we make individual plans with each customer. Hey, what do you guys want to do? Do you want us to hold shipments on certain days? Do you want us to hold shipments to certain states? And if there's really bad weather at our DCs, we're to the point that we have to, shut things down, we communicate that out and just come up with a plan to make up for it over the course of the rest of the week or on alternate days. So we have a much better handle on that now. But I mean, stuff like that, we're looking at, probably a good week out.
Hey, Bobby, can I add something there?
Sure, Joe.
Yeah, so you're only as good as the information that you get. And in this age of analytics, forecasting is pivotal in moments like this. And so with a company like Burris, where safety is a priority in everything that we do, we want to make sure that we're not putting anybody at risk during these bad weather situations. So forecasting and looking ahead and making sure that the need is met. And as things are coming across, like a forecast of a blizzard, as I saw one of the questions come across, what's most important is communication and looking at the analytics and making sure that you see the numbers and you're able to look out, because we can prepare. As much as we can prepare, we can adjust to any situation and make sure that safety is a priority and make sure that we're attaining the goal of the customer, because it is a balance. And you want to make sure that you're getting product where you promised it to be, but you're also making sure that you value your employee and making sure that we don't put anybody in any sort of jeopardy. So, with all of these priorities that are out there with everybody needing it today, communication and analytics are the key to making sure that supply chain performs at its best.
Hey, Bobby, adding one other thing there. I think that, how far out can you plan? I think it's an infinite level of how far out you can plan. We have business continuation plans, business continuity plans for all of our buildings. Most of our sites have generator backups, and the ability to be able to say, what if, right? So at the end of the day, if the worst thing happens to you, how can you plan for that what if? And then, you bundle that up, you tie it up tight, you revisit it at least once a year. I would encourage everybody to be able to have those, whether that's for an incident at your home or your business, but being able to plan those out and really have some experts. We engage outside consultants to be able to help have those in all of our sites, but, consistently and constantly planning is probably the best defense in order to avoid some of those things.
Nice.
Hey,
Nice. And we did have one come through on the Q&A, and I think we've kind of all somewhat hit on it. And the question is, and thank you for putting that one in, Bevan, what types of technology are we using to do this tracking for us, as well as getting information on the analytics side?
Well, from a Trinity standpoint, we're utilizing software like Falk. like Locust Track. There's a variety of different vendors that we tap into. Sometimes it's very specific to the customer. They might already have a contract with someone to utilize a certain piece of equipment or technology, and we're able to implement that, certainly with the loads that we're managing for them. So really, it's a huge variety of technology from the transportation side. I don't know, from a direct to consumer and, from the food service side, I'm sure Joe and Megan can jump on that as well.
Yeah, I have my cell phone. I call my transportation guy, and I'm in sales and purchasing. So I honestly, I don't know the specific technology that we do have. I do know that I've been walked through it and shown it. I just don't know the names. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're pretty tech heavy on the direct to consumer side. A lot of it though is stuff that we've kind of come up with ourselves. So we have, obviously our homegrown WMS. We have some software that overlays with our customers' integration that helps with address validation and things like that. And then we also, kind of going back to the track and trace piece of things, we did implement something a few months ago that, it basically came about because the customers were asking for it. And so we helped develop it. So essentially what we do is as we're scanning orders and they're going through our weigh stations and making sure that everything, looks right, there's the right amount of product in the box and everything like that, it goes onto a pallet. Once the pallet's built, we have a tag ID basically for that pallet that can tell us exactly which orders are on that pallet. And then that pallet gets scanned to a FedEx or UPS trailer, and we know exactly where that pallet got scanned to. So we have proof that it left our building on the right truck at the right time and when all that happened, because, there's always been a little bit of a black hole before that as to, okay, we know systematically that the order got picked and palletized and ready to go, but maybe the final mile parcel carrier says, hey, we never got this order. And then it's kind of a gray area of, okay, well, who's going to cover this missing package or whose fault is it? So that's just one extra step in giving our customers the data that they need to maybe go file a claim or just know where the product is, because it can be a big problem and it adds up very quickly with some of the product that we're handling.
Hey, and Bobby, real quick to jump on to, Joe's comment there about the cell phone. That's one thing that I hope never goes away. I mean, we try to take a personal touch to every customer we deal with, every single load that we handle. We try to pride ourselves on being proactive. God forbid when something does happen, we want to be the one that's calling Joe first to let him know so he can, proactively go to his customers or whatever the next steps are. So that personal touch, those phone calls, those emails, et cetera, those aren't going to go away, at least not anytime soon. With all the technology that we have, we still pride ourselves on that personal touch, whether you're shipping 1,000 loads a month with us or 1 load a month with us, it doesn't matter. If something happens, we want to be the first ones to make you know what's going on and then what the solution is, what we're going to do to get it corrected, whatever that may be.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, Mo, because it is always this back and forth between technology questions and people questions and whatnot. And really at Burris, it is fully integrated. We have the technology when you need it and people when you need help to be guided through it. So that's all the questions that we have. I would throw this out to our panelists here. Do you guys have any questions for each other or any other closing remarks that you want to get across?
Can I get direct to consumer boxes delivered down here in the bunker? I mean, the food is stale. It's really just that and some air filters, because it's 5 stories down. I think I'm getting nothing but pollen right now.
I'll see what I can do.
Anything you can do to help, I take it.
You got it.
If I had my way and I intercepted that trailer of pies, which is basically a dream come true for me, I would be more than happy to share with you, Mo, but that was a long time ago.
Pies and fillets. That's all I need.
Hey, Mo, the only problem with your story is they were way overcooked. Anything above medium rare is
Send it back to the kitchen.
send it back.
Unless that barbecue truck rear-ended it.
I would have had beer truck, but I went barbecue. I knew it was PG.
Those are for a different day, Joe.
That is correct.
Certainly not on the webinar.
Told you I would say something.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
So, hey, Bobby, for
Yeah,
me,
go ahead.
the last thing so supply chain for all of us is crucial. And so as we go forward and we come out of this COVID, you can see the kink in the supply chain, specifically within trucking. Every conversation you have, no matter what industry, it's now bleeding into fuel, the conversation with fuel, where we just can't move fuel around the country fast enough. And as people have used more shipping from home or shipping from supermarkets or shipping from stores, this is not going away. This is an issue that we need to continue to constantly have these type of dialogues and constantly have these type of created conversations. And it's not just about fun and games, although it's important to do that. You know, the future lies in the technology of driverless tractor trailers or people working in warehouses and having the majority of the work done through technology. So the answers are yet to come on how we're going to figure this out. But I can tell you, if you're out there and you're not paying attention to your supply chain, you could be in for a world of hurt, because we're fighting uphill still. We still haven't reached the pinnacle of the problem. So it's an important conversation, and I appreciate you including me in it.
Yeah, Joe, it's going to be uphill for a while too, from what we're seeing. So,
yeah.
Well, I'm glad that we have you guys all on board solving the problem. So thank you for everything that you all contributed. Nick, co-moderator, any closing remarks here for our panel and attendees?
Yeah, first of all, I'd just like to thank our dream team on here. I know that we can't all be first round draft picks, but appreciate you guys all being there. That's another sports analogy that may or may not catch Bobby, but appreciate you guys' time. To all of the attendees, thank you as well. If there are other stories you want to hear, we have other ones. Unfortunately or fortunately, certainly lessons learned that we have as well. So appreciate all of your time and look forward to connecting with each and every one of you.
Great, thank you, Nick. And yes, that's a great point. Reach out to us. We've provided you with emails. Our website is a wealth of knowledge. So if you do have other questions or you are looking for more clarity on anything that we provide, please certainly reach out. I hope you all found some value in the information. And of course, for us, it's really important that you get to know our humans that ultimately make this happen. So thanks again. Until next time, I appreciate it, and goodbye for now.